Negative. Sounds like we're getting another call from someone in the area. Break.
Go ahead.
Getting a call now from Misty advising that her grandfather told her that a female said that her grandfather was killing everyone in the house and that the female went to the fire station. Break.
Go ahead.
There's a male actively shooting at the firehouse. Based on 99. Converting the rest of them.
Robert 63, how many houses down from the firehouse is this?
You're clear.
35. Your supervisor's aware of this. Yes, sir, you copy.
63, what's your ETA?
About 5-6 out. Strong Lindale, Nicholsville.
So the fire station has been advised to get inside. Just so everyone's aware, somewhere in the mix there's a 16-year-old female that ran from the original house that was going to the firehouse for help. Not sure where she's at now.
63, you're clear. Do we have a description on the male that's shooting?
Negative. This was called out that the shooting was occurred by the fire station. They all are back inside of the firehouse.
You're clear.
Traffic, your digital. Video is still digital, but the fire department is who told us that shots were fired.
To the SO.
Male shooting the male light green shirt, blue jeans on the front porch of 1965 Laurel.
Talk to round 1.
63 to 72, do you have traffic?
Negative. Anyway. 33 miles out.
3 children have been shot, not breathing. Additional call sounds like the shooter is the father of the children. En route, 1965 Laurel Lindale. Sounds like the male's still on the porch. There are multiple children in the yard, non-breathers.
29, you're clear. Mile and a half out.
I'm putting aircraft standby.
say, just give us 99.
Let's just do it now. He sends just the car channel. Top 1.
That went to the firehouse is advising them that the male shot the entire family.
2137.
You're clear.
Where's he at?
Shooter's on the porch.
Get him right here, right here. You got him on the porch.
We've asked, that's the last place we've been told.
You show me your hands now! Stand up and walk towards us! Stand up now! Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
We know we got a visual in the veil. Not showing his hands, not following commands.
Stand up
Still
now!
not showing hands or following commands. His name is Chad Doerman. Chad Doerman.
I know, but
We gotta go.
I know, but we can't.
If we need first aid and he's not complying, and you know he's a shooter, shoot him.
We gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey, no. We need to come from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her. We see them. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here.
6 Robert, 29 and 63 is type out.
Right now.
Show us your fucking hands now! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the fuck up!
EMS to stage and air clear is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands out of here.
72.
Tell them we're 21. Send the air.
Those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid, and that's the shooter who's not complying. They need to take care of the
I got it.
victims. They have to shoot him and shoot out.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs a day
63,
in my
we're
life.
21. Get the EMS over here.
Well, I did drugs when I was little, but I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not trying to fight you.
63.
Get your butt inside. Yellen, get your butt inside.
We on primary?
Now.
29, we got 3 kids down.
3 kids down, 16 feet up.
Yellen.
63, we're 21. Have EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised.
Robert 34, just started mass casualty response.
63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard.
He took my life from me! My life!
What are you doing, man?
Hey, are you copying all this?
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
Alright.
He won't bite you.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get
I ain't
you
gonna
here
do
in a
nothing. I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Here. You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house?
Yeah.
Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
State of Arkansas is Chad Doerman, 2023 CRA 1975. This matter is before the court today for purposes of bond hearing. Mr. Kelm, you were here on behalf of Mr. Doerman. Mr. DeCalvi, Mr. Gast on behalf of the state of Ohio. Mr. Kelm as the bond. Go ahead, sir.
As the bond, Your Honor, he is 32 years old. He lives in Richmond, married, is employed. He indicates that his relatives, Gloria Doerman, Todd Frost, and Team Doerman, may act as co-signers for him. At this time, Your Honor, we would submit to the court that a bond of $75,000 with order conditions would be appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeCalvi.
Judge Mark DeCalvi, Clermont County Prosecutor on behalf of the state. At this point, I'm going to let Mr. Gast handle the bond for an hour and a half. Thank you.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Judge, we've got law enforcement with us here today. Our office has been involved. Lots of people in our office have been involved with law enforcement throughout yesterday, afternoon, evening, all the way through this morning. And the facts I have for you at this point are as follows. The trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. But the evil horror of what we know is impossible to process. In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun that father was wielding to attempt to protect them. We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near his home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. Man they trust more than any other person on earth. A person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission. By that same admission, Judge, he has committed one of the most monstrous, craven, cowardly acts that will ever be our misfortune to see. To make things even more disturbing, Judge, this was no haphazard act. Again, by his own admission, he planned the events of this day. This did not happen on a whim. He's confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope, that I'll see in my lifetime. I hope it's the worst fact pattern that ever comes before this court. Judge, it's important for the court to know in the bond we're going to request today, for the court to understand Clermont County deputies, Monroe Township Fire and EMS, and other first responders bravely respond to the scene where they don't know what's going on. They did not know what they're facing, and they come into a scene that no one can ever be prepared for. No law enforcement training, no training of any kind prepares you for this. It's easy to forget that these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function. They're people. They were required to give CPR to gunshot children, 3, 4, and 7-year-old children. They held these boys in their arms, knowing there was nothing they could do to save them. How long do those scars last? What day do you wake up from that and you're healed? How do you unsee such an abomination? The bond factors this court needs to consider today are set forth in Criminal Rule 46, nature and circumstance of the crime charged, and specifically whether the defendant used or had access to a weapon, including the seriousness of the offense. It's the most serious offense that we have on the books, Judge. This is it. You can't commit a more serious offense. So the nature of the crime charged is the worst crime that can be charged. Did he have access to a weapon? Yes, obviously he did. The weight of the evidence against the defendant at this point, Judge, we stand here with a full admission of the defendant. That also goes to the confirmation of the defendant's identity, and witnesses on scene did see at least part of what happened. Next, the court is to consider the likelihood this person would return to court if a bond were issued. Again, this is the most heinous crime with the most severe penalty under the law that we presented to the grand jury. That alone would be a major factor in discouraging a person from availing themselves to this court or any other. And the thought to flee and the likelihood of flight is great in the state's opinion. The danger he poses to the community is a factor that this court can consider, and I think with the facts in front of you, Judge, we can't name a person that poses a greater threat to the community. As his prior record goes, Judge, it is fairly minimal. He was charged with domestic violence in 2010. He is not, to my knowledge, on probation community control. Judge, the facts of this case are hopefully like no other we will ever see. When this case gets indicted in the Court of Common Pleas, I am certain that a no bond hearing will be held, and I would hope that would be granted. But at this point, at this juncture, we're going to ask this court to issue a bond we've never asked for before. I'm going to ask for a bond of $20 million. I hope I never need to request such a bond again.
Thank you. Date for preliminary hearing?
The date for the preliminary hearing, Judge, is 6/26.
No objection, Your Honor.
The preliminary hearing will be set for June 26th at 1 p.m. At this point in time, bond's going to be set in the amount of $20 million cash or surety. Anything else at this time, Mr. Gast?
No, Judge.
Mr. Cal? Mr. Cal, anything further?
Nothing at this
All
time.
right, thank you.
All rise. Court is in recess.
I know that she witnessed something horrific.
A grim day in Clermont County that started around 4:15 when a woman called 911 saying her babies had been shot. Around the same time, Misty Hockey was driving to Kroger and saw a teen girl running for help.
She was running with a little black lab and she was screaming, "Call 911, call 911." She says, "My stepfather is shooting everyone in my household."
Hockey called 911 as police rushed to the scene on Laurel Lindale Road.
I wanted to get her in the car, but she just refused to leave her family. And that just says testament of how much she loved them.
Responding officers found 4 people shot outside the home. Life-saving measures were unsuccessful on 3 young boys, brothers, aged 3, 4, and 7. Their mother, a 34-year-old woman, was shot in the hand and taken to UC Medical Center. Investigators say the boy's 32-year-old father, Chad Doerman, was sitting on a step outside the home and was immediately detained by police. He's now charged with murder. As for the bystander who alerted police,
if I was just cruising down with the radio, blasting, I could have missed it all. Just everyone be vigilant. That's all I can say. I was vigilant today.
We continue here at the top of the hour with the murder of these 3 young Clermont County boys. Investigators say their father has admitted to shooting and killing all 3 in cold blood. Their ages are 7, 4, and 3. Folks, this is Chad Doerman, the boy's father. He was arrested without incident yesterday. Doerman admitted that he executed his 3 boys one by one.
Doerman entered the courtroom wearing what one officer called a suicide vest. It was the day after prosecutors say he confessed to shooting and killing his 3 boys. Assistant Prosecutor David Gast said Doerman told police that one of his boys ran to a nearby field, but Doerman said he got the boy, dragged him back to the property, and killed him. Gast said Doerman also shot his wife in the hand when she grabbed the gun, attempting to save her children. The judge granted the prosecution's request for a $20 million bond. The case now goes to a grand jury. A pretrial hearing is scheduled for June 26.
A memorial, by the way, is growing for those 3 little boys tonight. People are placing stuffed animals. You can see that right here outside of their home. WCPO 9 News reporter Valerie Lyons is live now. So Valerie, you have been speaking with several people today, including a new Richmond girl who started a GoFundMe for their funerals.
Yeah, Tanya, Hazel Warren is the friend of the boy's older sister. She says she hasn't slept, she's been crying, she's heartbroken. When she heard what happened, she tells me all she wanted to do was help.
It just really hurts more to know them and what happened.
It's difficult for Hazel Warren to find the words. Understandable when what happened was unimaginable.
They were definitely like the cutest I've ever seen. They were all just like a little pack.
3 little boys, just 3, 4, and 7, shot and killed in their front yard. Their own father, 32-year-old Chad Doerman, accused of pulling the trigger. Warren says it didn't take long for her to launch a fundraiser for the rest of the family. Her best friend and her mother, who must now find a way to move on.
Hope that everything will be like okay for them.
We're told the mother was shot in the hand as she tried desperately to stop Doerman from shooting her sons, and that their sister ran down the street yelling for help. They weren't in court Friday morning when Doerman faced a judge, appearing to break down at one point as prosecutors laid out the grisly details.
I didn't notice him. I didn't look at him. I think he's a coward, and that was probably an act. If you want to make me guess, that's an act.
They are all so sweet and so cute.
A reminder of 3 little lives lost.
Their bedtime was like 8 o'clock, and they would all come in and like individually, they'd all tell me good night.